This morning is Gina Resende. Gina Resende will be evaluating Meredith Myers.
Carson.
I'm sorry. Carson Schaefer will be evaluating. Well, wait a second.
Meredith's evaluation was good, but
No.
Kathleen did my evaluation.
I'm doing,
Okay.
yeah, I'm doing Meredith.
Okay. So,
She's evaluating Carson.
She can do
have Kathleen go first on speaker one.
Kathleen, you go first on speaker one. Yes.
We haven't shown.
That's fine. So Kathleen Hoffmeyer is going to evaluate Meredith Myers.
Meredith definitely gave us a kaleidoscope of emotions today. She asked me to really see where she could put more emphasis on what she was talking about. And I think you put on all the right places. I think this is a place where you can be vulnerable when you need to be. And and Meredith definitely did that. And especially, you could see the pain when she was reliving what she was going through. And you could see it in her eyes and in her face. And I think what was the best thing about this speech was you made your mess your message. You took it as a call to action to be curious, not judgmental. And she really used her experiences to let us know, hey, look, we all need to be careful about what we think and get the whole story before we judge people. And I think my biggest critique would be there are a few places where you were looking at your notes. I would try to work on that. And that's where I think you would put the more emphasis on. I think the biggest thing was when you were talking about the experience with your son, that's probably where you were reading the most. Those are where I would think the emotional emphasis would need to be focused on a lot more. But all in all, amazing speech, great job.
Okay, let me see if I get this right. Evaluating Carson Schaefer is Gina Resende. We got it right? Come on up, Gina.
Well, I have to say that this is one of the toughest competitions because I've never seen so many brilliant people giving a speech. But Carson asked me to talk about, is there emotion on my speech? Humor? The audience am I making contact? He told us the successful story of dedicated parents that challenged the nose of the system. We have to remember this, and this was spectacular. Emotion. He surprised us with a sad story, and his pauses were the little humor he added into it. The audience was totally involved. Yes. He was in front. He was right here. You don't do that usually. Like saying, this is very important to me. I'm talking about my son. Listen to me and maybe remember what I did to him. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Evaluator number 3, Ty Patton, will be evaluating Brandon Moore's speech. Did I get that right? Got it. Come on up.
It was a day not unlike today. He drew us in immediately. Fellow Toastmasters, members at the head table, can you believe that was an impromptu speech? I've practiced for weeks and not been that good. But I want to tell you, one of the things that I admire about you, you have a natural sense for timing and humor. And that's one of the things that we can all work on continually. You've mastered it, probably because you're in sales, and you've learned that that's how you really get up close to those people that you need to be close to. You wove it with a kaleidoscope of stories, individual stories. And you even went on to say, Carson is one of the most respected members of this club, and I wondered why. We all have. But in all sincerity, I can tell you part of the reason is because he has a subtle way of expressing his genius. And he does it oftentimes in a very humble way. Other times, not so much. I want to tell you that I really admire the way that you have come so far in such a short time, and you share from your heart, and that's where we connect with people. One of the things that I would pick up on, and even though this is impromptu, it's something we can all work on. You stood up here with your fingers interlaced, and they were grasping one another. We want to be sure that you can overcome that sometimes by coming up to the lectern, getting in position, take a deep breath and exhale slowly. And then you start. We cannot weather the storms alone. Perfect ending. Fellow Toastmasters.
Toastmaster Gary Adams is going to be evaluating Toastmaster Mark Shear. Gary Adams.
Kaleidoscope. Word of the day. Toastmasters can often be like a kaleidoscope. The second you walk in the door, you may think you're doing one thing and you end up giving an impromptu speech, or you may end up being an evaluator. Mark Shear gave us quite an amazing speech. Shows us exactly the power that Mark Shear has when he's giving a speech. Taking the time to enjoy life. Mark had a great opening. What have you done this year? Have you done anything exciting? And then proceeds to let us all know Mark may need to be a travel agent someday, or maybe he should be a jet ski salesman, because I think just about every single one of us, by the time he got to that jet ski part, we were ready to go on an adventure, and I think we were all wondering if we could afford that jet ski. Mark had very, very good vocal variety. He went from very strong Mark Shear voice to this whisper about going up on the meadow with his wife and that wine. Extremely well done. An impromptu speech. I think each and every one of us should at least do one impromptu speech before the year ends. The power that you can see in people like Brandon and people like Mark, when they can just talk and be natural, but still bring in all of those skills. Mark gave us a perfect example of that. Very poised in his opening, very engaging when he leaned in. Really, really showed the way that we can end up a polished speaker with Toastmasters. I'm not really sure after that speech whether I'm excited to go do something or I'm exhausted thinking about those 2-hour hikes, but Mark had us all on the edge of our seat and very engaged. Thank you.
Madam Timer, did all evaluators qualify? Okay.